is someone that had a full rifle. This is how they brought it to us, cut in half, brand new, never fired. The guy says, I saved my whole life to get one. I finally got one. I missed the registration. I had to cut it up and turn it in. Because that's what the police told them to do. It's sickening to me.
It's a travesty. A new class of criminals has been created by this law, and they are nothing more than honest, law-abiding citizens, and certainly does not prevent another crime.
Absolutely, they're going after the wrong people.
I don't agree with the registration. Registering your magazines has nothing to do with public safety, period. So I did like everybody else. I stalled, and when I finally went through the process, I did it through the mail.
The day I was there to register my firearms and my large capacity magazines, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people online, and everyone was very angry. And a part of me feels a little shameful for actually filling out my paperwork and submitting it.
Just by setting a date, and after this date, if you don't do A, B, and C, you're a felon. If you legally own something, why would you surrender it? I don't believe there was a single criminal standing in line that day.
They didn't register guns or magazines. They don't need to. They're exempt from the law. That's the problem. So the law they put in is senseless.
We're talking about a sweeping gun control legislation that was passed in the wake of the Sandy Hook tragedy.
This is not about politics. So Connecticut's shown the way. And now is the time for Congress to do the same.
The entire process, in my mind, made a mockery of the way our system is supposed to work.
The bill was pushed through in the middle of the night, and then it was signed by Governor Malloy at noon. What was the emergency for them to push it through?
Malloy must go! Malloy must go!
The ones that voted for this bill, I don't think they care, and they're not going to listen anyway. But when it comes to the freedom that's in the Second Amendment, they don't believe it as it's written. They think they can regulate it.
What happened to we the people?
Did the lawmakers even know what they were voting on?
I don't believe they did. I don't believe the lawmakers knew truly what the repercussions would be.
No, they still think a clip is a magazine. None of them even got time to read it.
The law is extremely confusing. I had to read it 3 or 4 times before I figured out what I needed to register, what I didn't need to register.
Absolutely. The exact firearms that qualify as assault weapons are kind of up in the air. I don't think that there's any real distinct answer in many cases.
An assault rifle, in the eyes of the state of Connecticut, is a center fire cartridge that has a detachable magazine and then has any other feature after that. Pistol grip, collapsible stock, a bayonet lug, a flash hider, so now you can't own this. So if you owned it prior to April 4th of 2013, you had till December 31st of 2013 to register it. If you didn't, it's a felony, or you have to turn it in or destroy it. If you owned a pistol like this before April 4th of 2013, you had to register because it has a threaded barrel. If you have a magazine that holds over 10 rounds, you have to register that.
I held off as long as I possibly could. I decided not to register. It's against my constitutional rights. So instead of turning it in, I turned it over to my father. He has an FFL.
It got to the point where people didn't know what to do. I had people walking in and going, here, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Take it and get it out of my name. There's no amnesty. I don't want to be a convicted felon now.
I think a lot of people might really have just made an honest mistake.
They actually did not know that their types of firearms, along with magazines, needed to be registered or declared by the January 1st deadline.
And now they're going to have to pay the consequences for that. And I think that scares people, and they shouldn't be scared of their rights, of what you as a United States citizen have the right to own and have.
I have a whole room filled with thousands of magazines. It's all brand new that were in the wrappers. The biggest thing people are fearful of is, oh my God, this can have a big impact on my family and my livelihood. So I'd rather just comply. It's not worth it to me, so they turn it in. And it's a shame. It's part of our rights. It's just all being taken away.
What do you think about the people who have decided not to register, not to comply?
More power to them. Because if I had nothing to lose business-wise, I would have done the same thing.
My message to people is don't make yourself a felon. My message is follow the laws and then work to get the laws changed.
That's the biggest thing, vote.
Make sure we hold these people accountable. This election, I think, is going to be a big indicator of what happens in Connecticut in the future.
This is a disgrace. They violated their oath. They don't deserve to be there. They've broken a trust already.
The big question is, why are we being made to re-register what's already been registered. Now your name is on a list. What comes next?
That information is going nowhere. We have that information here. It's strictly secure. It's being shared with no one.
I think that this registration is the start of confiscation. It's a slow process. They're going to slowly add in little bits and pieces.
But I came here to state police headquarters in Middletown, Connecticut, and Lieutenant Vance told me any talk of confiscation is nonsense, and he insisted it's simply not in the cards.
There have been people wanting to put forth their own agendas, but for anyone to say that we're going door to door to seize weapons is just wrong. It's not even in the cards right now.
I've had conversations with law enforcement at the state level. If door-to-door confiscation ever were to happen, you will see officers probably refusing to obey orders. That's a law enforcement nightmare.
We just can't go and confiscate weapons, and by no means are we going to trample on anyone's rights or anyone's constitutional rights.
I could see a riot happening here. It's not going to be a pretty picture.
This is only the beginning of what's going to start happening. We can prove it with England. We can prove it with Australia. What happens? Crime rises.
Surrendering our freedoms. Does that sound like America to you?
No. This is not the America that my family came to 400 years ago. This is supposed to be the cradle of liberty.
I think that this is a dangerous step, and it's all of our freedoms that are at stake, and I'm fearful. I don't want to be a subject.
I'm from a family that's all military, and I don't understand why our soldiers fight for the rights that we have if we are just giving them away.
Lawmakers and legislators, look at me. I am a high honors student athlete whose passion and future is being jeopardized by your knee-jerk reactions and personal agendas. Not only am I the future of the state, I am the future of the country.
I think the people that supported this legislation fail to understand the lengths at which people will go to preserve their Second Amendment freedoms.
The Founding Fathers would have said, well, when they come to confiscate, be ready. We were. It's up to you now.
Hey!